Welcome to another edition. This is week two of the NFC East Weekly Update. I am Nick. I'm joined here by Aaron. Aaron, how are we doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
You should feel a lot better this week than I do, even though both our teams lost in week one. I think your team did pretty good.
I've got to admit, I was talking a lot of shit last week. I was down. It was right after the Micah trade. We were beside ourselves here in Cowboy Nation, and didn't get the outcome we were looking for, but was pleasantly surprised with week one, and we'll get into it. You never quite know of is your team better than you thought they were, or is the other team worse than you thought they were? But I'm sure we'll cover that.
Well, let's go ahead right into that. That's a good question. I think that I think my team's a lot worse than what we thought they were going to be. I mean, they every year there's always that one team was just like, man, that preseason looked good, and we're going to the Super Bowl this year. And unfortunately, the Giants were that team this year, or this preseason, and they got smacked right in the face by the Commanders in week one. But the Cowboys. Like you said, you lost Michael Parsons. You're going up against the reigning NFL champions, world champions, the Eagles, and you guys held your own. Not only did you hold your own, but you held Jalen for 19 of 23, only 152 yards, no touchdowns except for his two rushing touchdowns, which he ran 14 times for only 62 yards, two touchdowns, and he was the team's leading rusher, not Saquon, but Jalen.
Yeah, it offense came out. It's nice to see them move on from 1994 offense where we didn't motion anybody and get a little bit into the 2020s. But no, I think they moved some people around. It's nice to have, they called it out on there, took advantage of some of the younger players that got in the Eagles secondary. Obviously, a big hit to them in the run game of losing Jalen Carter, doing arguably one of the dumbest things that we've seen in a long time in the NFL.
That didn't help.
There is all eyes on Dak Prescott, and I understand he spit on the ground, but there's a difference between spitting on the ground and then spitting on another human being. And this league is completely built around protecting one player on the field, and that's the quarterback. And you're going to walk out past the line of scrimmage before they even break the huddle and spit on the starting quarterback. First game of the season, not real great, but no, being able to have George Pickens, rough night for CD, but being able to spread out the Eagles defense clearly was way wrong. And I think last week I was touting the Eagles as, this returning this mega defense and doing all these things. And definitely had some holes. You lose Jalen Carter, but definitely not the Super Bowl caliber defense they had last year. But was impressed by it. Some tough breaks with that. With some fumbles. Like I said, CeeDee Lamb I think had four drops. And still gave up a good amount of rushing yards. And so even if, Jalen only had 60 something, you give up on two scramble drills essentially, give up two rushing touchdowns. Tough way to lose, but a lot better than I personally thought they were going to be. So yeah.
Yeah, you bring up a good point about the turnovers. I think I forget what the statistic was a couple of years ago, but I think like the team that wins the turnover battle tends to win the games like 80 plus percent. And unfortunately, the Cowboys weren't able to cause force any turnovers during that game, and that might have been the difference between a win and a loss.
Yeah, no doubt. Coming from a coaching background, I totally agree. Teams that are able to force takeaways on the defensive side of the ball and teams that do not turn the ball over on offense, normally you give yourself quite a way better chance of winning. And listen, it's wild. Like we look at it and we always tell our guys, like in any football game, there's an average of 5 to 7 plays that will really dictate the outcome of the game that you can point to and be like, that was a game changer. That was that. You know, Sometimes that's a big sack on third down. It's a completing a pass. It's a touchdown. It's a long run. It's turnovers, takeaways, things like that. And you definitely, you have the Cowboys driving. Arguably to go score. Miles Sanders coughs the ball up. Dak Prescott does make a heck of a shoestring tackle and saves probably would have been a 80 something yard fumble recovery for a touchdown. But you look at that, unfortunately, you have some of the drops that we had there, and then giving up those two, letting Jalen be Jalen, not going to take away from him, but you give up two rushing touchdowns fairly early in the game. Um, Plus, we were texting on the side of like this is one of those NFL films ones. Like if the Cowboys come back, I joked and said, man, if the Cowboys w
Unscripted.
win, like yeah, the NFL is absolutely scripted. But you get two teams that absolutely hate each other. There's all this hype, all this stuff. We were down in Cowboy Nation last week to come back. You've got the rain delay for a couple hours. You've got the spitting incident. You got all those things. Uh, yeah, I was waiting for some sort of crazy finish where NFL Films is going to talk about that game for a while, but didn't quite turn out that way. They're still a good team. I think probably moving on from that one, where you could sit there and take away stuff. I was impressed how the Cowboys ran the ball fairly effectively. Didn't have a ton of huge chunk plays, but just consistently being able to move the ball, which was good to see. But yeah, we'll see where we go from here. Obviously, we'll talk about the matchup they've got this week, but I think much to your probably dissatisfaction, the team that I think everybody should be talking about inside the NFC East is are the Commanders.
Yeah.
What do you think about that game?
It's like I said, it's very heartbreaking. I was never a football coach like yourself, and I'm kind of curious your thoughts on this, but they obviously had an issue with what's his name taking off and running. Why is his name escaping me right now? Um, doesn't matter. I should never forget his name after that game. But they kept putting Abdul Carter in a spy position, which I'm not 100% I agree with. I think that maybe somebody like Kayvon Thibodeau would be a better position to be a spy than our our third overall pick from the first round. I think you want to see him get after and force him to take off, and you have guys like Kayvon Thibodeau who can chase him down and get him. Um, there wasn't a lot of blitzing. I think we're in the lower half of the NFL as far as blitz plays called, which I understand some of the fear of blitzing on a guy that's going to take off and run on you. Um, so yeah, man. I just, even on offense, when you look at the offense, there wasn't a whole lot of spark there other than, I mean, Scababoo's just like they put him in only for a couple of plays, and the couple of plays he did, he may not have gotten a whole lot of yardage, but he made an impression on a lot of people, especially with those three run over his tacklers there and that one pass off to the side. But yeah, man, there's not a whole lot to really take away from that game other than the Giants lack creativity as play callers. And you got guys like Neighbors who were complaining about not getting the ball, and then when he start throwing the ball to him, he drops it.
Yeah, you know, I didn't have the stats pulled up, and I was pulling them up, and obviously the score says one thing. I will not rub, unlike the Dallas game where you had obviously the score dictated, they lose by 4 points, but you look at really the side by side on that. The stat lines were fairly similar. There wasn't a huge, glaring issue other than, like you said, the turnover
Jaden
margin. But when
Daniels,
you
I
get and look at
apologize.
the, what's that?
Jaden Daniels, his name was escaping me. I don't know why.
That's what I thought. Didn't want to assume, but when you look at that, it was very. It just seemed like I was watching part of the game. Number one, the defensive line, if you want to talk about offense, the defensive line was just absolutely harassed the Giants all day.
Yeah,
In the run game, you look at it, rushing yards, only 74 rushing yards. Scatterboo got out there and man, that kid runs hard. I don't know, he may have CTE after that because after
after
that
that
one
one
like
play.
pinball run,
Yeah,
he hit or he went after about four defenders and
yeah,
my head hurt after watching that,
yeah,
um, but no, Russ was, it looked like a team that just clearly wasn't on the same page, right?
yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I mean, there was a play where they put Theo Johnson into a motion. He didn't even make it across the offensive line before he was confused. He's throwing his hands up in the air. He doesn't know what's going on. I mean, he does end up completing the pass, but I think it was like a third down play. Maybe it was a second down play. He only got like 4 or 5 yards, but he almost got ran over by one of the tackles because he didn't even get all the way to the end of the line before Russell snapped the ball.
yeah. And it's, they definitely got after him. Very, statistically, you look at that, the Commanders ran the ball really well, 220 yards rushing,
Yeah.
212 passing. So not a stellar day through the air. Both teams really struggled on third down. You can probably chalk that up again to being early in the season. You want to get some of that fixed. Um, the Giants were 4 for 16, Commanders 4 for 11. So definitely not setting the world on fire, like you said. The takeaway or the turnover margins are a big thing, but also how you convert on third down is a huge thing. You got to extend drives, you got to keep things going. Um, and there wasn't, you look at those stats, obviously, even the Commanders racked up a lot of rushing yards and a lot of things. It did, no one really stood out a ton. Jaden Daniels was actually second on the team with 68 yards rushing. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, I'm going to screw that one up really bad. 10 rushes for 82 yards and a rushing touchdown. Um, Jaden Daniels only accounted for one touchdown. But
Passing at
yeah,
203
I
yards.
mean, if you want to look at though, like I know that you're doom and gloom on it. Like they did have the Giants had 3 sacks, so
Hmm.
they did sack him 3 times
Yep.
with two of the guys you just mentioned, Kayvon Thibodeau and Abdul Carter. Abdul Carter is just an absolute like freak show. Like the
Yeah.
dude's an alien.
Yeah.
Like he is going to be very good for you guys for a long time. Um, and I think you showed some sparks, but it is like when you are not like when you're on, I don't know the play count on all these for either side, but you're going 4 for 16, 4 for 11. Like your defense is on the field quite a bit.
Yeah.
And so it is what it is, right? Like it's the first game of the season. It's 17, there's 17 games in a season. So definitely some work. But some of the things that we talked about of, does this, depending on how many games they get into this, and I'm not crying for this, and I'm not saying it's what's going to happen, but you know, how many weeks of that, if they can't clean some of that stuff up, if they can't get some of this cleaned up, like how fast does Jackson Dart
Or
start to
into
get
it.
thrown in there? Because like we said, Dable may very well be coaching for his job this year.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of smoke him if you got him. You went out and drafted the kid number 26 or 25 or whatever it was. Like you don't do that if you're fighting for your life
No.
to let him sit on the bench and just do stuff that's not working. You might as well, empty the tank. So but yeah, another matchup this week, like we said, I'm looking forward to. I was way off in my predictions as far as what I thought the score was going to be for the Cowboys. I did not give them enough credit. They did better than I thought.
I don't
Um,
remember what I said for the Cowboys, but I want
we'd have to go back and look. I think I was 28-17, and so I was a little bit too generous to the Eagles and a little bit too harsh on the Cowboys, but
I
weren't
think I
far from
had
that.
I think I had the Cowboys within a touchdown. I could be wrong,
Yeah.
but I think so.
So. But outside the NFC East, before we talk about predictions, and well, let's talk about this. So, looking forward to, we've got, the Cowboys Giants this week.
Yeah.
What are you hoping to see,
What do I
right?
want to
Like
see
what?
improvement? Well, I mean, like again, some bright spots from last week. Giants actually won the time of possession, battle there. They held the ball for I don't know about a minute and a half, a minute longer than the Commanders. So that's good. You always want to see. That means you're controlling, the tempo of the game. You want to see, you want to see more sacks. I think the punts we actually forced. The defense did force the Commanders into a decent amount of punts, 5 or 6 last week. So that's something that we didn't see before with the Giants would play last year. It just seemed like anytime the other team had the ball, they were going down and scoring either a field goal or a touchdown. So it was good to see that we did force some punts. Stuff to build upon. I want to see more blitzing from the Giants defense. I'm a firm believer of putting the right people in the right places, and I don't think Abdul Carter was the right person to be put in spy. And even a lot of times they had him just sitting there floating out on the edge, and if he had a clean shot at Daniels, he would take it. But if not, he just kind of sat there, or he'd run up and put his hands in his face. He was just too afraid of losing containment. So I want to see that fear kind of go away. We got secondaries for a reason. Let them go. And, even if we're giving up a play, we're giving up a play. But if you start hitting them, you start giving them a couple whacks, they're going to start running the ball a little bit more, and I think we can control that. I would love to see the Giants force more run plays, less from a running back standpoint, not the quarterback standpoint, and some more dangerous passes, and get some turnovers, win that turnover battle, maybe cause some fumbles with those sacks and those blitzes. So I'd like to see some more of that. I want to see. I want. if I can give for me, when I look at an offensive line and how I grade them, is by me sitting there watching the quarterback and counting how long he has to get rid of the ball. And right now, the Giants, to me, they're a C minus D team because Russell Wilson can only drop back for 3 seconds tops. I mean, tops. There's a couple of times where he was there for 4 or 5 seconds. There was times where he had all the time in the world, and I feel like he still rushed the pass because he was just so shell shocked. But when you're dropping back and you can go 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 sack, or 1,000, 2,000 sack, that is a D grade for the offensive line. So I want to see them get up to like a 4 second, 3.5 second, even 5 seconds would be phenomenal. I know in this day and age, 5 seconds is a lot to ask for, but that is an A plus team, a 5 second offensive line. So I'd like to see I'd like to see Russell Wilson, if he's going to be our quarterback, to have a little bit more comfort in that pocket. And again, there's a couple times where I felt like Russell himself was just too shell shocked, where he was running out of the pocket too early or forcing passes too early when he didn't have to. So those are the improvements I want to see, and I want to see Malik Neighbors shut up and just catch the ball. That's what I want to see. I want to see him to shut up, catch the ball, and don't complain when you're open and you don't get it. It's going
Yeah.
to happen sometimes, but for the times it doesn't happen, catch it.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? What do you think about my scoring system for the offensive line?
I think you were incredibly hard on the offensive line, which I'm fine with. No, right? Like this is, it is. They definitely got after him, moved him off his spot. But like Russ, maybe Russ several years ago, that was his game, right?
Mhm.
And so that's, I didn't watch the entire game. I didn't go back and break the film down or anything like that. You know, I know the secondary really did get after him. And you look at some of those stat lines that we shared, like it was a great day for the defense. Like I think I'm not going to sit there and say off of one week that the Commanders defense is elite or anything like that, but I think that they're going to be a very, very solid defense, especially when you look at the body of work. And it's been one week, right?
Yeah,
You come out, you look at it, if you can game plan, you can prep, you can do a lot of these things based upon the body of work that you see, right? And someone from the Cowboys even said like, hey. And a lot of teams do this. You come out and you see those first couple weeks of preseason, and you see the first couple weeks, and it's very vanilla, and it's kind of like looking at a brand new team, and you kind of feel out and really
it is
see
a
what
brand
you
new
have
team.
there. Because you look at a lot of those guys didn't play. Those first team guys on defense, you saw them play a little bit more, but those first string offensive guys didn't play, or they were held out, or were on kind of a pitch count. And so we'll see. It's week one. Cowboys, you'd like to see a little bit more consistency. Obviously, you can't have the drops there. You hate to see the turnovers and things like that. We obviously want to see, you know, the run defense is, it wasn't abysmal. I don't think it was great, and I think a lot of that just comes from, you look at those two big chunk plays or those two rushing touchdowns. They were on broken pass plays, so it didn't just line up and just kind of hit you in the mouth. And you look at the backfield that they have. You were going against last week the league's top rusher last year, and so. Um, I think they're better than I expected. Just want to see the consistency, want to continue to see them do some things on offense, but nothing that I don't think there's, night and day differences there that can happen or need to happen there. So we'll see. It's
Okay.
another divisional game. Getting your pick on looking at the matchups this week. Obviously, we've got the Cowboys versus the Giants.
Hmm.
So another NFC East showdown there. Two interesting games, I feel like, for both the Eagles and the Commanders. The Eagles playing a team that they are very familiar with at this point against the
Yeah.
Kansas City Chiefs. And
Yep.
so, uh, you know, there was a lot to be desired from the Chiefs.
Chiefs.
You
Yeah, they
have
didn't play
kind
very
of
well.
it was kind of a lackluster game from what we've come to expect from them. My boy Xavier Worthy just got sniped like within the first couple minutes of the game. Travis Kelce just took him out.
Yep.
And so it'll be interesting to see those two teams, right? Like they're both solid organizations. They're good football teams. They're not, I don't think you fall that far off. There's definitely
Yeah.
things they got to clean up. But I think a team that we haven't talked about out still in the NFC, but not in the East, that I'm probably most high on or hyped on, also kind of terrified of terrified's a strong word, but a lot of healthy respect is man, the Packers look good.
Yeah,
And,
especially under
and
the
again,
Marsh.
it's week one, right? Like you don't talking about that. Micah obviously got after him. His back looked like it was totally fine. I did kind of feel like we got a little bit fleeced though, because we obviously got a D tackle trade for Micah, but man, they looked damn good against the run. Their defense just smothered the Lions, and so the Lions have he's going up against, Micah was going against up against Sewell,
Yeah,
who's an all-pro tackle and moving around, doing a lot of stuff that he's done in a lot of places. But man, their defense looked really, really good, and the Lions just couldn't get anything going.
yeah,
I think they're a good team, but you look at it, there's a lot of people that I had talked to several people outside of this, and we were all kind of scratching our heads. I'm like, there's a lot of people that are just down on the Packers, like they just don't know what they're doing, don't know what's going on. And like I said, they won 11 games last year,
yeah,
right? Like they just happened to be that you were playing in like one of the best divisions in all of professional football. But they won 11 games last year, and they came out and had a very, very strong win. I think their offense looked fantastic, looked really, really good. Jordan Love played well, and that defense just looked, they smothered Detroit. And so I think that game will be really, really interesting. Probably the game I'm most excited about outside of Cowboys and Giants, but to see Green Bay and Commanders, because I think we're going to
yeah.
learn really how good those two teams are.
Yeah, I think they're both very good. Like I said, the Commanders are a very dangerous team, and I think a lot of people are going to sleep on them this year. And I think Jaden Daniels going into his second year is going to be even more. We said this last week that I think he's going to be, the chemistry he's going to have with his receivers and that offense. They're going to be another high power team.
Yeah, and he's got to avoid the sophomore slump, right? Like he set the bar very high last year,
Yeah,
right? Like that's one of those things that you do really well rookie season, do that, and people say, well, it's sophomore slump. It's like, well, no, you didn't expect him to come in and light the world on fire last year, and it's like, are you going to go do it again? And I think he'll be probably one of the top names as quarterback in the NFL. Maybe that's a system thing. Debo, we talked about him looking a little bit muscled up and some of those things. Pretty quiet for the game for the most part, but obviously has people around him that shine really well. But no, I think Jaden Daniels will have another strong season. Um, and there were some wild games, right? Like there was some games that I think that, looking at it, the one that comes to mind getting out of the NFC is, on Monday Night Football, watching two of the best teams in the AFC and maybe the best teams in the AFC of one of those teams wouldn't be shocked
yeah,
of who makes it to the Super Bowl. Um, but the Ravens and the Bills game was an absolute shootout, and Josh Allen put his cape on and put his team on his back. And like my wife's a Bills fan, and halfway through the third quarter, at the beginning of the fourth quarter, she's like, "I'm going to bed. I want to watch this. I'm done." And then to wake up to text messages from family members and everything like that. Um, those teams look really, really good, man.
yeah.
The AFC is going to be interesting, right? Like. You can't write off. It's not a new story, right? Like you can't write off the Chiefs. It's too early to write, I think, anybody off.
Except for the
But
Giants.
man, yeah, you listen, man. Like you guys got scattered. But talking about the Giants though, and you want to talk about a team, your boy Danny Dimes.
Yeah, no. I feel like the
Dude
Yankees will go out
is
and
like parking cars at the country club like 3 weeks ago. Shows up, scores the Colts score. I think the stat I saw was like 7 for 7 on the
yeah,
first scored on the first 7 drives. And I know we were talking about someone near and dear to your heart, Tommy Cutlets going and now on the backup for the
yeah.
Patriots, but let's not forget about Danny Dimes going to the Colts and playing an absolute like career game. And guy was unemployed like a couple months ago.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. Like I said, I feel like the Giants are the Yankees. The Yankees will take these like all-stars and put them on the team, and they won't do anything, and they'll let them go, and then they become all-stars again somewhere else on another team. And I feel like that's it's happening here with the Giants. Just to watch Danny Dimes do that was just a
Listen, man, like I wouldn't be too worked about it, Danny Dimes, though. You guys saw it. Like he would play. He would go and play and he would do well. And then like he's the guy that's getting sacked like for a 15-yard loss and just like grenade tosses it, like bites the pin and just hucks it in the air and like throws it to a defensive lineman, pick six, everything like that. And
yeah,
so We'll see, right? Like everyone gets hot every now and then, but I just thought you were the first person I thought of when I saw the stat line for Danny Dimes. I was like, I know Nick is pissed right now. So
That was the cherry on the top for Sunday.
yeah, just to cap it off there. So. But no, early in the season, right? Like, I don't think anybody needs to lose their mind. We had some really, like, if you look across the NFC too, division battle between the Bears and the Vikings, was a decently close game, kind of how thought people thought that would play out. Caleb Williams is still kind of just Caleb Williams. Like, he's back there freewheeling and doing those things. Um, the Vikings didn't play necessarily as well as I thought they did. JJ McCarthy, or thought they would, I should say. Didn't know what you were going to get with him. Kind of what you thought of a guy that hasn't played football in a year, has played and made some mistakes, some rookie mistakes. I think they'll be fine, but no, across the board, I think the NFC had a pretty decent week, and it's week one. It's a long season, right? Like you can't get too high or too low when you look at it. Of one team in I don't know how many decades, 5 decades, something like that, has gone
Yeah.
undefeated. And how many times have we seen teams that have come out kind of shaky, had a rough start, and then end up going on to make late playoff runs and getting hot late in the season? So,
Yeah.
uh, hopeful, not selling the farm, not jumping off, not jumping off the cliff yet, but we'll see.
Yeah. You brought up an interesting question. How many games do the Giants have to lose before we see Jackson Dart? What's your over under?
How many games have to lose? Um, Man, I don't know. Because you start to get into it, it's hard, right? Like I don't know the buzz around kind of giant land and what the idea is, right? Like because there's the argument of if they start losing that bad, do they fire Dable in the middle of the season? Like, are things that bad up there? Like, is that the vibe? Like, because here's the thing, like you could go through it and yeah, I don't know. That's hard, right? Because like you look at it of if he really believes that he's on his way out, like yeah, kind of smoke him if you got him mentality. But
Yeah.
at the same time, it's like okay, if someone interim comes in, they're like, do we really want to throw this kid in? Like, are they going to make the same? Are they going to throw him in the game when he's not ready? If he's truly not ready, um, so I don't know. I think they would have to lose in short order, like in the next couple weeks. I think they would have to lose probably 3 or 4 more games, and like pretty bad. Like it would have to be very quarterback centric as well, right? Like
Yeah.
if your defense gives up 800 points, like that's not Russ's fault,
No.
right? Like that's you can't
Like the
blame
defense.
him and you can't do that stuff. But I think that if he starts there's a difference between getting out schemed and having a bad game and like a consistent like, hey, this guy can't perform, and I don't think Russell Wilson's there. So I don't know. I think they would have it would be a shockingly high number. Like I think they would have to lose probably 5 to 6 quarterback centric games for them to throw him in there and kind of just ride with him. So,
I say by week 7, he's in.
okay. You're
Especially if
down, man.
the
Like
Giants lose every game.
we're like we're recording this on what? It's a Wednesday, so you've had a couple of days. Like you are very down on the G-men right now. Like,
It's years of pain.
listen,
Getting
dude, I
through.
get it. You guys have won Super Bowls way more recently than the Cowboys have. So
Yeah.
like I was, what, 8 the last time they won them, and for reference, I'm 37. So it's like, yeah, I've got nothing really to play. I think we've won 2 playoff games that entire time. So
Yeah.
it's I feel you, man. It's just I think it's a long season, right? Like they've got some young talent with the Giants. I think definitely they've got to make some stuff happen. I'm kind of just reading over these notes and stuff like that. Yeah, the red zone was really bad for you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
I mean, you got 7 shots at a touchdown and you can't get it in.
5 trips to go range, and they managed only 2 field goals and failed to convert any touchdowns.
But I don't know how much of the game you actually watched, but there was a point where the Giants had 3 shots like within 10 yards of the end zone. They didn't get them all. They have a choice to either go for it on fourth or kick a field goal. They decide to go for it on fourth. They miss, but there's a penalty that gives them first and,
I did see. Well, I was out running and I had my AirPods
yeah.
in, and I was had it streaming on my phone, so I heard that, and
Then
I
they had
heard I don't
three
remember
more
what the penalty
shots
was. Yeah,
and they
and
still didn't get it in. And then finally, they decided on their fourth attempt to just go ahead and kick the field goal. The points were more important, which I agree. But if you got seven shots, you gotta get a touchdown.
Yeah, the math should just be on your side at that point of statistically you should be able to get it in there, but
But for the last, I don't know, 2.5 years, the Giants have had a hard time getting into that end zone. It's like some kind of invisible force field known as the opponent that is stopping us from getting in there. Not so invisible force field. Anyway, let's wrap this up. Let's look at the so we agree out of the Packers and Commanders, I'm leaning towards the Packers win. I'd say that's going to be a close game though. I'd say within a touchdown, Commanders, maybe 21-17 Packers win that game. Then you got the Eagles and the Chiefs. The Chiefs aren't looking that good. I'm gonna go with the Eagles winning that one. We'll go by two scores. Let's do I don't know, something in the ballpark of, I don't know, 14 to 34, 14-27, somewhere's in there. Eagles. And then Giants, Cowboys. I'm gonna choose the Cowboys to win this one. It's going to be a highly contested battle, very close score of 3-54.
you were so I thought I was emotional about football. Man, you are just crushed right now. Like you are in a dark place, my friend. So no, I think it's actually I think Commanders Packers. I think that the Packers do pull it off. Man, that's hard because I think it's going to be a close game, and if history repeats itself, you sure hate to bet against Jaden Daniels on leading the game-winning drive. So I think it's 21-17 Packers. I think they hold them off. I hopefully can't get the hat trick for game-winning Hail Marys, but Giants Cowboys, I think that's going to be a little bit wider margin, not quite the 51 points that you said, but we're looking at. Oh, let's look at it. Let's say Cowboys 27-14. And then who else we got? We said Eagles and Chiefs. Man, it's hard. Two like two good teams that I think had not good weeks. Jalen Carter comes back. I think the NFL said that he served his one game as his suspension. I think they do a decent job. I don't know. I think we'll go 28-24 Chiefs.
Wow,
So I'll give it to the Chiefs.
all
I
right.
think that Andy Reid will come out with some snow globe, hoopty hoop, whatever play, and they'll get some stuff going. But
Former
no, I think
Eagle Andy Reid.
what's that?
Former Eagle Andy Reid.
Yeah. So maybe coach. I think he's probably over that. I think he's probably more bummed about the Super Bowl loss last year than being a former head coach there. So, but yeah, I think it'll be another good week of football, and we'll see how good or bad. I think we didn't do too hot last week, and I talked a lot of shit. We'll see if I actually can prove I know something about the NFL this week.
All right, I'll change my score. I'm gonna go with Giants Cowboys game. Cowboys score 31, Giants score 21, but they're all
Okay.
field goals. Every single field goal.
7 field goals.
7 field goals.
Whoever your kicker is,
Gano.
like, yeah, money where your mouth is. You gotta go draft him on fantasy now because you think he's gonna kick set. He may lead you to a fantasy championship. Which last thing, playing in two fantasy leagues, had a decent week in one. I drafted like a complete ass in the other one, and was doing good, was doing okay. I'm 0-1, 1-0 in one league. Rolled into Monday this week, had a pretty sizable lead. Was feeling okay because I had Lamar Jackson as my quarterback. Unfortunately, I don't know how we let this happen, but the person I was playing had both Josh Allen and Derrick Henry.
Gee.
Um, and needless to say, I got absolutely waxed last
Yeah.
week. I went from like a 20-point margin and like it was a 50-50 shot, which I knew was wrong. Ended up losing by like 25 points because Derrick Henry is
A beast.
an absolute juggernaut. That dude has been in the league 9, 10 years and looks like he just walked on the field, but is and absolutely punishes people. And then Josh Allen, like I said, pulled his cape out and he's Josh Allen. So
All
It's a
right.
good time to be a Bills fan.
Yeah.
My kid has more he does. I don't know if he has like one Cowboys thing. He's got a lot of UT stuff, but my wife continues to load him out with Bills gear. So he has. We haven't thrown him through a table yet,
Yeah.
but he definitely does have the Zubas. He's
Yeah.
got several Bills outfits, and so I can't fault him. If he ends up being a Bills fan, I listen. I can't blame him for that. He's got to have something to cheer for, right?
Watch him grow up and be a Chargers fan.
He could. Heck, I don't know,
Yeah.
but we'll see.
Yeah. It's funny, obviously living in New York, and I live closer to New York, like downstate than I do out towards Buffalo, but there's still a decent amount of Buffalo fans, obviously in the Albany area, Saratoga area that I live in. And for some reason I find that a lot of Bills fans hate the Giants. Giants don't feel the same. We don't care. We win Super Bowls. I mean, it doesn't really bother us one way or another, but yeah, I don't really have a dog in the fight when it comes to the Bills. I want to see them do well. I hope they do well.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point you missed out on all those Super Bowls to the hands of the Cowboys. Like literally now, what is the NFC East? Like they lost
Yeah.
all of them.
Yeah.
So, but it, yeah, I mean, I think they're a good organization. You know, Josh Allen is a weird dude, but obviously super talented, and he plays hard. And you know,
Yeah.
I joke like halfway joking with my wife. The thing that I'll say about the Bills, and we're taking a weird hard left here, is that like. It is until I started going out there, like I can say that the Bills mean so much to the city of Buffalo. Like that is the heart of Buffalo, right?
Yeah.
Like and of course like you got Niagara Falls,
Sabres.
you got
The
this, like you
Sabres
got
are pretty good
The
too.
Sabres, but like and they've been good. Like I don't follow hockey as much. I know they've been okay.
Yeah,
They
they're
may have
not
won a
horrible.
Stanley Cup within the past decade. I'm not sure, but yeah, I mean the heartbeat of that city is the Bills. And I mean there's not a whole lot else in Western New York, except for garbage plates, beef on wick, the mighty hot wing. I won't forget about that. But yeah, they live and die for that stuff, man. And their fan base is obviously legendary. They're a bunch of just absolute hooligans, but you gotta love it.
Yeah. And if I will say that if it comes down to it, like if I'm gonna lean, if I'm voting, if I'm rooting against the Bills, it's only because my wife is a Jets fan. So, I mean, it's we went to a Bills Jets game 2 years ago, and the Jets won, and
Was that the punt return game?
it might have been. I
My
think,
wife was beside herself because it was the punt return game because the dude's name I think is Gibson, Gipson. And I think that was the year that they were on Hard Knocks because
yeah,
Aaron Rodgers had just gotten there. It's when he like blew his like it
that
was the
was the
year he
year
got
he
in
blew out his knee.
Achilles.
Yeah, Keely, sorry.
But got hurt. You know, Zach, what's his name was in there.
Yeah.
And we were watching that game. And my wife has a hatred for the Jets. And the best thing was, is like, I'm pretty sure at one point, like, the Packer or not the Packers, jeez. The Giants didn't play the Bills, but like they had it that year, I think it was they would return to punt at like with the four like I'm in the fourth quarter to go ahead one, but then turn around and I think they played the Giants like a week or two later, lost to the Giants. And I had to ask my wife, I was like, so how does it feel to be the worst team in New York?
I
Because you guys lost to the Jets, but the Jets
guess the
lost to
first
the
words out of her mouth is those teams aren't even in New York.
no, the first words of her mouth, I'm pretty sure were "fuck you," but yeah,
Yeah.
so pretty close. If you translate New York for the rest of the United States, yeah, "fuck you" is yeah, that's exactly
Yeah.
what she said was not yeah, those teams are not in New York, so
Well, Buffalo Bills aren't even in Buffalo. They're 12 miles outside of Buffalo.
good old Orchard Park. So,
Yep.
but no one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. But we will sign off. We will see if we're any good at picking
Before we
teams.
sign off, let's do a quick little plug with what you do for work.
Yeah, man. So I am a commercial real estate agent broker down here in the state of Texas, and so work for Coldwell Banker Commercial. And so we don't specialize in one specific type of property, but we do everything from tenant representation, landlord representation. We sell buildings, we sell land. Down here in Texas, we got a lot of ranches. We sell ranches, and so when you think of commercial real estate, a lot of people think of big buildings, big companies, these big mega towers and apartment complexes, things like that. We're a little bit more niche in the fact that we serve what we would consider probably the small to medium sized business. And so we're able to offer, services, things like, and really Outlook data, things that most firms don't offer the smaller end of the market. But I spent a long time in residential. But I will say that probably one of the coolest thing and the thing that we take pride in is that I think everyone in real estate you talk to is going to tell you that you really have a hand in, I want to build the community. I want to be a part of the community and do that. While the people that live there absolutely make up the community, I think that the heartbeat of the community is really the small to medium-sized business owners in your community and being able to have a hand in seeing these people that are either picking up a new location or adding a new location or opening a restaurant or, leaving their corporate job and starting their own thing or selling something and investing and building kind of that nest egg or building that portfolio for now or in the future is it's something we don't take lightly. It's something we take a lot of pride in, and man, it's really cool. I get to work with a lot of great people. I get to work in probably the best industry in what I would consider the best industry in the business world. But yeah, I appreciate you asking.
Yeah, yeah, no problem. I think it's important that we use our power for good. We
Yeah,
use this podcast to do a couple plugs here and there.
for sure.
All
All right,
right,
man.
so yeah, let's wrap this up.
I will see you next week. And you will probably get a lot of shit talking text messages from me come Sunday.
I do want to make out, I do one more point that I want to point out that between the two of us, I'm the more high energy, more, well, I don't know, just more of a crazier guy of the two. You're more even keeled.
I would say you're definitely, I don't know, last week I was fairly emotional. So yeah, we'll ride with high energy. Yeah. I won't
Your
call you
your
emotional,
emotional
but
is still your emotional is Eli face, okay?
yeah.
And
That just,
your text message about Collinsworth on
oh my gosh.
it was
Even
hilarious.
it, like I had seen, so we were texting about stuff and like I am not a bit like, listen, I can probably say bad things about all the color commentary guys, like all the commentators. And listen, I couldn't do that. You guys have heard me talk. You've seen my face. Whoever's watching this and listening to this, I definitely couldn't do what those guys do. But Chris Collinsworth, for some reason, I don't know if I was having a bad day, like my dog, bit me or something. I rolled out of bed the wrong way. Chris Collinsworth's voice was just like nails on a chalkboard. And I had just seen before that, which or is it right after that when I texted you, I was laughing because I was said that, I wanted to, choke Collinsworth or something like that,
Yeah,
which I don't condone
yeah.
things like that. Poor joke, but uh, it. I saw some meme and it said something like, and it said in Collinsworth voice, like, here's a guy, and like that is like it stuck in my mind. I was like, I could hear that ring out in my head of like, here's a guy that, and he just picks the most random stats. He's like, he's got a size 13 shoe, and at one time he hit a banana split in 9 seconds, and like, man, he's just a football player. And you're like, Chris, what are you talking about, bro?
Yeah.
Like, what are you saying? So he no, his voice bugs me sometimes, but I also have I think everybody has that color commentator, the commentary guy that they just
Yeah.
can't stand. I have friends that like Joe Buck is the bane of their existence.
Yeah.
Like they cannot stand Joe Buck. It's
He's more tolerable in football than he is baseball.
that's the thing. It's like and like see the funny thing is other people are like he's a baseball guy. He doesn't know anything about football. He needs to go back to baseball and do whatever. And you're like, listen, man, like put it on mute. Like I don't listen to
Yeah.
him half the time. So um but yeah. That's yeah.
I like to see the passion come out a little bit. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's got worked up a little bit, got a little hot under the collar, but we'll try to keep it we'll keep it between the lines this week.
All right, we'll find out. Stay tuned for
Yeah,
next week.
man.
Thanks for doing this with me and thanks for watching. All right.
Yeah, thank y'all. Be good.